This is Saints Row the Third. We're on Xbox Series X, taking a look at the now optimized version of this third main entry in the Saints Row franchise. An open world experience where you are doing insane action stunts and basically just going wild as you build up the Saints in this expanding town that was kind of the basis for many of the Saints Row titles that followed it. So that's kind of neat. It's definitely a bit of a surprise to see the optimized version of this game, considering, the Xbox One X version actually had the option to uncap the frame rates. So, yeah, it's kind of fascinating that they would go back and do this, because it was not something I had expected. But it is something that I definitely appreciate. So this is when the series started to get a little bit wild in terms of what it was presenting and what you do in it, and you get like some powers and stuff. Not to the degree of the fourth one where you're basically like a superhero, but it's starting to get there. So what are we getting? Dynamic 4K resolution at 60 FPS just by standard HDR support. And we do have the game now running at the PC high settings, I guess, in terms of certain elements of the visuals, experience the game. Greater performance settings equivalent to PC edition at high settings. And this also includes all of the DLC that released for the game. It's like, I think 20-something packs. It's actually kind of some fun stuff. It's got cross-generational co-op, so you can still continue co-op with your Xbox One pals, and I guess if you're watching this from the PlayStation perspective, same over there too. And yeah, it's kind of just this fun, wild, open-world, wacky experience where you're causing mayhem, destruction, and craziness. So it's still got the pop in, obviously, as you can tell as we're going through. Is kind of maybe hoping that would be cleaned up a bit, but I'm assuming that's just the design of the game, so it can't really necessarily change that too much, I suppose. But yeah, I guess it definitely does look better. So Saints Row is a bit of a wild game where you've got a range of different scenarios that you are kind of enjoying with your character. You're able to kind of customize your experience in regards to what your character looks like, and you're leading the Saints into this new generation of this place where you've got to, take the city and everything like that, and you got to make your way up, and yeah, it's Saints Row. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. There's the cops, there's other gangs, you're taking over the sectors, tons of side activities and missions for you to enjoy, a range of characters that make up your particular team, and it's just kind of a really wacky, wild, sort of fun game, whether you're driving, flying, or walking around as the Saints, just causing absolute mayhem and destruction. There are a range of different missions for you to take part in story-wise, and like I mentioned, tons of side activities, and you can upgrade your character. They've got some pretty awesome music. Different missions, side missions, you can do different things with your crew members. There's lots for you to do in this game. It's really, really quite expansive, and it just has many different things for you to kind of take part in. It's wild, it's wacky, it's over the top. I still love this game. It's an absolute ton of fun to play. It's crazy. I've always enjoyed what this has to offer. You can even have like a group with you too, your crew. Well, I mean, we got some guys that showed up here, but you can also I suppose hire some folks in that. And it's just like a really well done experience. It's absolutely fantastic. If you've been waiting to play and see what this game has to offer, I think now is probably a good time to do so. Having the 4K 60 right off the bat is great. I mean, they've also definitely improved the visuals of it. It does seem to look, a lot more graphically detailed, which is kind of nice. And like I said, this is a complete surprise. With the fact that it was future-proofed already from the Xbox One era, I think is really, really interesting. Because again, there was the One X enhanced version, so that one ran near 60, sometimes having issues. But then on the the Series X, that obviously cleaned things up. So I assume that was just their prep work for making sure that this ran. Are these guys jumping over the gate too? Or the gap too? Oh no. Nobody's making it out of here. Anyways, yeah, I just kind of assumed that they were going to be kind of done with the game, but nope, here we are. It's really, really cool. It looks fantastic, it's clean, it's sharp, you can have over-the-top action, you can do all kinds of crazy things, and there's, again, the cast is really just awesome as you meet these individuals. You're all messed up, you're all terrible folks as you're going around trying to, you know, solidify your group after a big sort of, I don't want to say takedown of what you've set up after the second one, but kind of along those lines. And it just really does feel fantastic to play. I think I also mostly want to get to, I think, a crib at some point, so that I can bring some level of aerial vehicle again. I know we started off with the Harry Potter broom, but I think it would be fun to kind of do a little bit more mayhem with like one of the jets or something. Just wanted to buy this property here because I thought it might be fun. Pretty cheap building purchase, am I right? But let's go back to the Saints Row crib. I think the crib's right down there. It's right nearby, so shouldn't take any time to get to. And like I said, range of just wacky moments and missions. So many different things you can do and accomplish in this one, from side missions to main missions, the DLC kind of levels. The cooperative modes, there's some, like, they play around with some of the modes. I don't know if I can even say there's, like, the horde mode and stuff. Yeah, it's got some really, like, adult-type themes in it, so keep that in mind if you are looking to play the game. It's obviously very much kind of in line with the, you know, kind of Grand Theft Auto, but it's very much its own thing, I want to say. Like, the game is definitely, it's its own style. It does its own thing with the whole concept of an open world sort of experience. I think it's just a lot of fun to play, and it's just wacky and wild. It really is just intense. Oh, and the loading is way better too, if you were kind of wondering. Like, obviously, going up the elevator there, it's just, it's kind of wacky how, you know, fast it actually kind of runs. I don't know if it's wacky is the right term. Oh, and there's different, like I said earlier, customization stuff. You can do all kinds of different things with your character. A wide range of different vehicles you can have. Actually, is the garage there too? You can see there. You know, you got lots of different cars and silly events. We could do like a tank. I wonder if the tank would be, like, the tank would cause a lot of mayhem. I'm just wondering about aerial destruction. Might be a little bit more like demanding for the boom, because we got the Saints VTOL. You know what? I think the tank is the way to go. I'm going with the tank, yeah. Should we do the Saints Crusader? Sorry, I think there's like another tank option. The Genki Manifold. That one's pretty funny. The Sexy Kitten. The Angry Tiger. Like I said, there's some hilarious stuff in here. The compensator. Sad Panda. Oh, yeah. It's just, it's so over the top and insane. I worked through it, you know, I think it was about a year or two now. I can't even think of it. It's just been quite a while. It might have been just been a year at this point where this game was releasing or something, this remaster. And I really like this Saints Row because it's still kind of grounded, while at the same time being really wacky and over the top. But that's the fun of Saints Row, at least for me, is that it's not just like a hardcore realistic sort of, well, I don't know if you call GTA 2 realistic, but you know what I mean. It goes so over the top. And I definitely do suggest the later entries. Some of the earlier ones are gems too, because they're a lot more grounded and stuff. But when you look at like the Saints Row series, it's just absolute mayhem and destruction. And it just goes wild. It does not care. The wacky weapons, the weird missions, the Genki Cat stuff, the weird missions where you're like riding people and stuff, which are odd. It really just has some insane moments. And you just get to enjoy, you know, kind of the full scope of what this experience was. Because this was like a really big game at the time. At least I thought so. And I remember getting the game on the 360 back in the day. And then over time, getting that, like, you know, this upgraded version of it. I think it was backwards compatible in between there as well, and that was kind of nice to take a look at. But to see the game persist at this point, I think is really exciting. And it looks gorgeous. It really does have a nice visual style to it. And I can't wait to see what they do next with this game. I think it'll be quite a while before we get something even more intense down the road, but I'm definitely sure this isn't the last of our experience with Saints Row the Third. I think this is kind of the big gem of the franchise in terms of it really getting big and I'm assuming they're going to continue building on that. Oh, day and night cycles in the city too, you know, it's some different environmental things. But yeah, it's just kind of wild and wacky. Over the top, absolute insanity the whole way through. And it just comes alive here quite beautifully, more than it ever has in the past. And I mean, there's still some elements of like pop-in as you're going along and faster vehicles, and you know, you can see that in the environment, but it's still much, much better now. And I do really appreciate that they actually took the time to go back and give this one another sort of, you know, upgrade and improvement. I think that's really, really interesting, because like I said, I didn't have any expectations that they would actually do that, and alas, here we are. It was just like a really surprise little optimization drop, and I'm like, awesome, good to go. I like to see it. Let's take a look at what Saints Row's got for us with these changes, and I'm really pleased with what they're doing here. It seems to just kind of handle the mayhem absolutely fine, as it did with the 1X version, but then they were able to push that even further here. And I think that's something to definitely appreciate, because over that original, you know, version of Saints Row the Third, you know, the 1X version obviously had like improved particle effects, better done, you know, texturing of the vehicles, improvements to the overall environment and the world. It was just like a huge touch-up, and now we're seeing that pushed even further on the next-gen consoles. It's exciting, because if this game that's this old looks this great, I can't wait to see what they're doing with Saints Row 5 when that eventually comes out, because they are working on the next Saints Row game. And I think they could really do something obviously wild with it, and it's just kind of nuts to see that, you know, be the case here already, being this kind of happy with what the experience is having to offer. And I hope driving around in a tank is a fine showcase of this. I was trying to get like the most mayhem-based thing I could think of outside of doing like a quest again or something, or a mission another time. And riding around in a tank seems to be kind of the way to go. But you just get to conquer the city and do what you want, and you can see here, you know, pretty big city that you can enjoy. Lots of little side adventures. There's cheats, but they'll disable your achievements, but they're cool. And then there's abilities that you can kind of buy with money if you've got, you know, the level and everything like that. And that kind of leads into the fun of the game. But I'm pretty godly already, so I've kind of done everything I really want to in this one, I guess, unless I go back to, you know, do some extra quests and stuff at some point down the road. But I'm kind of really happy with what is present here. And if you have not played Saints Row the Third yet, it's a gem. It really is a great game. Like I said, you don't have to have, well, I don't know if I said that earlier, but you don't have to have played any of the other ones. You can jump in fresh here. They give you the gist of what's going on in the series. They give you, like, you know, the rundown on what's happening in the world. And you're just kind of getting in there and taking on some Saints action the way it was meant to be done. An open world sandbox of destruction, chaos, mindlessness, well, mindless violence, and wild, wacky times. I'm actually wondering if I'm going to be able to get a, I don't know if this one has a helipad on it or not. This is just like one of my cribs. Yeah, you got a few of these around the city. I don't know if this one allows the helipad. Huh. Maybe not. Maybe it's just a garage. There are a lot of enemies around here too, which is an issue. Let's see. I don't know if any of these ones are really going to help me. I was kind of hoping to have something I could, you know, kind of fly up in the air there. And being the end game, obviously, you know, the gangs aren't as present, I guess you could say at this point, the gang members. Oh, did they actually blow up my tank? Those monsters. Those absolute monsters. What is that? Okay, I'm gonna ignore that because of the YouTube ratings on stuff. But yeah, just even being on foot right now and seeing the mayhem is kind of exciting. I mean, this is just absolutely nuts, as Saints Row should be. And I'm a pretty godly character because I've done all the stuff. I've improved my character over time. And I've become something that is a little bit more tougher against enemy forces and that are trying to destroy me along the way. But anyways, that's Saints Row the Third Remastered. optimized for Series X and looking really beautiful. It looked good before, but yeah, I'd say this is actually a good, nice upgrade to the game as well. Definitely a wild and impressive looking time for sure. And I guess I don't have much more to say other than fall down, go boom, and make sure that you check out Saints Row if you haven't, because this franchise is really quite delightful.